Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pretend to be my twin on her wedding day? I, 30 female, have an identical twin sister, and for the purposes of anonymity, I'll call her Jess. Jess and I look so much alike it can be freaky. At one point when we were still infants, they had to draw a little dot at the bottom of one of our feet, just so they could keep track of who was who for medical reasons. My mom adored the fact that Jess and I were her cute baby twin girls, and treated us as precious dolls who she would frequently dress alike and always make us do things together. At first I didn't mind it at all, because, well, it was normal, and I do genuinely love my sister. But when we started getting older and I developed my own interests, I would get so frustrated or upset when either couldn't do something because Jess didn't want to, or the only way that I could do it was if Jess could come with me and vice versa. It sucked, because despite our appearances, Jess was the more extroverted twin who liked to go to parties and do sports while I was introverted and artistic. I was always made to do what Jess wanted to do, because me not wanting to be so social was seen as bad, and the only way that Jess would agree to do/endure my hobbies was if I did her homework or chores. When my parents were divorcing, I was over the moon when my dad agreed to let me live with him in another state, and Jess didn't want to move away from all her friends. My mom cried when I had to tell her I didn't want to live with her, and Jess accused me of hating them. This really wrecked me emotionally, and I almost caved, but my dad got me into therapy who helped me gather the courage to just leave. I never really did shake off the guilt until around senior year of high school, but I never once regretted my choice because of how liberating I felt by getting to just be me. I was slowly able to repair my relationship with my mom and Jess, but Jess and I were never as close as we used to be, and I was honestly fine with that. Fast forward to adulthood, and Jess is engaged to her boyfriend Steve, 36 male, and their wedding is set for the spring. Unfortunately, Jess was recently in a bad accident, and her face is going to need to get cosmetic surgery. She has been crying on and off for days over this, because there's no way she'll be healed up in time for the wedding. My mom, Steve, and I have been trying to console her, but it's not enough. Then earlier this week, my mom approached me with the idea of dressing up as Jess and pretending to be her for the ceremony and reception, so the pictures will look nice. I was floored and gave a hesitant no, because while I do know that this would mean a lot to my sister, I just feel really uncomfortable about it. My mom was upset with me and said that it wasn't a big deal, it was just for the pictures, and asked me if I really wanted to make it so that Jess would have to be reminded of her trauma whenever she had to look at her wedding photos, or just not have any photos at all. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, okay, because I've already seen this in 2 other comments, I just wanted to be clear about some things. 1. We live in America, and as far as I know, since Jess's surgery is purely for cosmetic purposes, health insurance may not cover it, if any at all. 2. My mom was the only one who actually approached me about this, so I don't know for sure if Jess and Steve know about this idea, and I'm honestly a little hesitant of actually talking to them about this, in case they're on board and start to pressure me into agreeing. Sorry for not clarifying. What my mom is proposing that I do is that I wear Jess's wedding dress and she wears whatever I was going to wear, and then I just stand in for her when it's time to walk down the aisle, do the entrance at the reception, first dance, bouquet toss, and photo time. I wouldn't actually be doing the vows. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but this is a lot to unpack. I think you need to stick to your boundaries. Photoshop can likely touch up any bruising or stitches, etc. for the photos. Honestly, since Jess and Steve are paying for the wedding and saving up for cosmetic surgery costs, I think they may not have the money to pay for professional Photoshop. They can always get them photoshopped later. First off, not the a-hole. Your mother's being ridiculous. Second, why are they not just postponing the wedding? Surely a life-changing accident is a reason to put things on hold. Apparently, their dream venue wouldn't be available again until around 2025. Not to sound rude, but I'd imagine having a corrected face should be more important than a dream location. You'd be surprised. Getting that dream venue while you can is extremely important to a lot of brides. Not Bride Wars level of important, probably. What the heck did I just read? Not the a-hole, and if looking like her old self is that important to her, then the wedding needs to be postponed. Not doing this bad movie plot of an idea. It is a big deal, because I'm pretty sure this level of fraud would actually invalidate the marriage. Not to mention people will know it's you, and those that don't sure as heck are gonna wonder where you are. Point all this out to your mother. Keep saying no, and if she keeps pushing, stop communicating with her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to switch rooms because sister-in-law is pregnant? I, 33 male, live with my wife, 31 female, and my 8-year-old son, Mal. Mal has cerebral palsy and is bound to a wheelchair. Our home is convenient for us because it has 2 stories, but it was left to my wife from her father and we don't have the money to move, so my wife and Mal have the downstairs bedrooms due to Mal's cerebral palsy. This past week, my brother and sister-in-law came to stay with us while visiting. Sister-in-law is 7 months pregnant. I had previously discussed that all the guest bedrooms were upstairs, but when sister-in-law asked us where the rooms are, she was shocked and asked if I expected her to walk up all those stairs. I said jokingly, I'd hope so, because that's where your rooms are. My brother got upset and said he thought I had changed the room plan to downstairs because of sister-in-law's condition. I told them no, there was no extra bedrooms downstairs. Then they suggested I swap rooms with them just for a few days. My wife instantly refused. Mal has hearing loss due to his cerebral palsy and takes his hearing aids out at night and can only hear some noises. And we just didn't feel safe. What if someone broke in, God forbid? What if he fell out of bed? So we told them no, we weren't comfortable with that. Sister-in-law got upset and said why would we let them stay there, and that pregnant people really aren't supposed to go upstairs, and that I was overreacting, and that they would still hear if anything happened to Mel. I refused again, and they called us inconsiderate a-holes and just went to stay with my mom. Maybe I'm a worry body, but this is our system, and I did warn my brother beforehand. Since when are pregnant women not to go upstairs? WTF, not the a-hole. I felt the same. My wife lived in our home with her pregnancy with our son and still went upstairs to use the bathroom every time when our downstairs bathroom was being worked on. Please, for the love of all that is good with this world, send both your brother and sister-in-law this. This is legit the dumbest thing I have heard people claim in a while. Not the a-hole. Apparently, generations have died that I don't know about because of mothers going upstairs. Lol. Also a big cause for many marriages ending. Husband decides to take the stairs and has to leave their pregnant wife behind, never to see each other again. Not the a-hole. What is your brother thinking? I was 9 months pregnant with a 9+ pound baby and still went up and down the stairs multiple times a day as we had no bedrooms downstairs. Your son and his safety take precedence. How can he not see this? Please feel free to give him the information for the nearest hotels. Perhaps they'd be more comfortable there. Your brother sounds like a jerk. This cannot possibly be the first time he's pulled something like this. Let me guess. He's younger and was always spoiled/treated like the baby? Haha, he actually is the youngest by 9 years out of 4 kids. So he definitely did get the baby treatment growing up. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to take either of my parents' last names? I'm turning 18 in a few months, and my parents sat me down to tell me that I should start looking into changing my last name after my birthday. I have a weird situation where my last name doesn't belong to either of my parents. When I was born, my father didn't want to have a daughter have his last name, but he's since changed his mind and apologized. And my mother thought it would look bad or weird to put me under her maiden name. So my great-grandmother gave me her maiden name. They are now divorced and are married to other people and now each want me to pick their name. But I don't want to. My great-grandmother's gone now and I was the only great-grandchild that got to not only meet her, but spend time with her. I like having her name. It feels special. I also feel like I get to have more space socially by having my own name, like I truly have my own identity. My mother says that it's ridiculous for a child to have a different last name than either of their parents, and I shouldn't have to even be asked to do this, that I should be racing to the courthouse to take care of it, and my father agrees. Is it really that weird for me to not? I don't have anything against them or their names. I just like my name and don't want to change it. My entire family's angry at me for using my great-grandmother in my teenage rebellion and acting like I had some special bond with her that the other kids didn't. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. The irony of your parents acting like you're the ridiculous one when they both caused this problem in the first place. Keep the last name you want. Your parents sound ridiculous. Right? They could have legally changed their child's name for 18 years. They lost their chance to have a say. Not the a-hole. The hardest part of having a different last name probably would have been when you were a kid. I cannot see why it would be an issue now. They are being ridiculous. Apparently it was. I don't really remember it, but I also didn't pay attention either. Honestly, I doubt it was really that big of a deal outside of people who are only familiar with traditional American naming customs making comments about it to your parents. I was born and raised in the US, and due to the naming customs in my parents' culture, my siblings and I have one last name, our mom has another, and our dad has yet another. 3 different last names in one nuclear family. Of course, it's possible your family had very different experiences to mine, but not sharing a last name with either of my parents has never posed any issues for me. I asked my mom about it recently, and she said it was never a big deal. They registered us for school, took us to hospitals, traveled internationally with us, etc., and it was always fine. Anyway, you're absolutely not the a-hole. They created this issue by being sexist / enabling sexism, and now they want control over your established identity, to burden you with the administrative hassle of changing your name. And for what? Just for them to save face? It doesn't benefit you at all. You already have a name you're happy with. Not the a-hole. Sounds like you are honoring your great-grandmother, not lashing out with some kind of teenage rebellion. How in the world is it rebellion if all you're doing is keeping the same name? It's not like you're changing it to something ridiculous or offensive. If this was so important to your parents, why didn't they arrange to change your name a long time ago? Waiting for you to turn 18 means they have waited for you to become an adult. Since you're an adult, it's entirely your choice what name you want to live with. They wanted to during the divorce, but the judge said no. Last story. Am I the a-hole for staying in contact with my son's ex-wife and her daughter after their divorce? My son Henry divorced his wife Rachel a year ago. Their divorce wasn't exactly messy, but it wasn't easy either. I stayed in contact with Rachel for my granddaughter's sake. My granddaughter is 9 years old, and Rachel also has another daughter, Amy, who is 3 years older than my granddaughter and not my son's child. She was from a past relationship Rachel had. Now, the thing is, Amy grew up calling me grandma for pretty much her whole life. I treated her exactly the same as I did my biological granddaughter. I would always take candy for both of them, give them both a little bit of pocket money. I hugged and loved and still love Amy as much as I do my granddaughter. As far as I'm aware, she's my second granddaughter. When my son and his wife divorced, I stayed in contact with his now ex-wife to contact my granddaughter, and Amy has her own mobile phone. I also have her phone number and stay in contact with her occasionally. She still calls me grandma as well. I didn't think this would be a problem. However, last week when it was Amy's birthday, I gave Rachel some money to buy her a present for me. She was thankful, bought her a gift, wrapped it, and sent me a picture of her opening it. Later that day, my son came around to visit me and my phone rang. It was Amy calling to say thank you for her birthday present. My son told me he found it inappropriate for me to be talking to his ex-wife and her daughter when she's not my granddaughter. He said I have absolutely no reason to be in contact with either of them, as I see my biological granddaughter regularly, and that she's the only one who is family. So his ex-wife and Amy, who are no longer family, have no reason for me to be in contact with them. I disagree, as I only speak to Rachel about my granddaughter and I speak to Amy. As for the last 10 years, I've been treating her exactly the same as my biological granddaughter. I feel it would be unfair now to no longer have contact with her after so long. Am I the a-hole for staying in contact with them both? I don't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. I never discuss my son with either of them. I just simply check in and see how they are. Not the a-hole. He has been in the girl's life for 10 years, and he's not staying in touch, and doesn't seem to care or worry about her. That should be the issue here. Be careful. He doesn't decide to not let you see your other granddaughter just because he doesn't agree with you. I'm willing to bet Rachel would let OP see both kids when they're with her. Dad has no say in that. Exactly. It's good he can't try to leverage OP seeing his daughter to try to get his way. And it's insane that he expects OP to just drop that relationship with Amy, as if 9 years of being her grandmother magically just disappear because Rachel and Henry are no longer married. I see why they got divorced now. Not the a-hole. This reminds me of the "you divorce wives, not kids" line from Clueless. Not the a-hole. That's exactly the line that popped into my head when I finished reading this. Heck, my daughter's great-grandmother sends me, my new husband, and our son Christmas cards and birthday cards/gifts, and my ex-husband doesn't see a problem with this at all. Blended families are difficult to navigate, but OP, you're doing it right. Amy's your granddaughter, just as much as a 9-year-old is. What's devastating is that, if Amy was in your life for that long, then she considered your son a dad too. And it sounds like he's abandoning an important relationship. He needs to do better. My fiance's ex-stepdad still stick around. It helps my fiance and his siblings out with stuff. They aren't biologically his, but he divorced their mom, not them. Especially the youngest whom he raised from birth. Not the a-hole. You are doing grandparenting right. A relationship breakdown between parents doesn't need to splinter the entire family. With a 9-year-old granddaughter, I am guessing that you have been a grandmother to Amy for 10 years. That's a whole lot of time to form a bond that goes beyond a casual relationship. Your son is being selfish, thinking that his anger towards his ex is more important than your love for the children. He cannot tell you to change your priorities. I understand that your son is hurting, but you are only demonstrating love for the kids.